Welcome to my channel. I never imagined a single outfit could completely shatter my life, and yet, that afternoon proved me wrong. I had always thought clothes were just clothes. Something to cover you, maybe make you look a little different, but never something that could change the very way you saw yourself. That day, I was about to learn otherwise. It started innocently enough. My best friend, Mia, had dragged me to the boutique downtown. "You have to try this," she said, holding up a shimmering dress. It was nothing like anything I would ever pick, silky red, clinging to the curves in all the right places. "Come on, just try it. I swear it'll be fun." I laughed nervously. "Me? In that? Are you kidding me?" But she was relentless, eyes sparkling with mischief, that look in her face that made it impossible to say no. And before I realized it, I was stepping into the changing room, fingers grazing the smooth fabric of the dress. The texture alone was intoxicating, soft, cool, and somehow alive. My heart pounded, and a thrill ran down my spine. As I slipped into it, something shifted. I froze. The mirror reflected someone I barely recognized. My chest felt heavier, my hips wider, the way I carried myself subtly altered. My posture straightened naturally, shoulders lifting, head held high without conscious effort. I ran my hands over the dress, over my body, and gasped. It was like the fabric had awakened something inside me, a confidence, a poise, a magnetic energy I had never felt before. My reflection. It was glamorous, striking, almost unreal. "Wow," Mia breathed, standing outside the changing room. You look incredible." I turned, unable to speak. My voice caught somewhere between excitement and disbelief, a soft, melodic pitch that didn't even sound like me. I look different," I managed, barely recognizing my own tone. Stepping out fully, I felt the world shift. People in the boutique glanced, some whispered, some stared, but all eyes seemed drawn to me. Every movement felt electric, each step deliberate yet effortless. The thrill was intoxicating, but it came with a pulse of fear, embarrassment, awe, and disbelief rolled into one. That night, I couldn't stop looking in the mirror at home. Alone, I traced my face with trembling fingers. My lips, fuller. My cheeks, softer. My eyes, brighter, almost sparkling in a way I had never noticed. Every contour felt new, yet somehow, natural. I touched my shoulders, my arms, my hips, marveling at how different I looked. And yet, a strange part of me, the part that had always hidden, avoided attention, felt awakened. Alive. Curious. I tried to sleep but couldn't. My mind was racing. Is this really me? Or is this just the dress? Can clothes really change the way someone is seen? The reflection in my mind was vivid, electric, impossible to ignore. The next morning was chaos. Wearing anything other than that dress felt dull, uncomfortable, wrong. My usual jeans and t-shirt hung limply on me, failing to reflect the confidence I had discovered the day before. Even my movements felt strange, awkward, and almost clumsy by comparison. The memory of that reflection haunted me, like a shadow of a self I hadn't yet learned to inhabit. School was no better. Everything I did felt amplified, every step, every gesture, every glance. Whispers followed me through hallways. I felt eyes on me constantly, some curious, some approving, some judging. I caught snippets of conversations. "Did you see her yesterday? She looks different. Is that even her?" I wanted to vanish, to hide in a corner, to pull the dull hoodie over my head and become invisible. But a small, stubborn part of me, the same part that had felt alive in that boutique mirror, thrived on it. I felt exhilaration mixed with shame, power mixed with fear. It was confusing, intoxicating, and overwhelming. My best friend Lily approached cautiously one morning. "You seem different," she whispered, hesitant. Her eyes scanned me like she was searching for an explanation. "Different? How?" I asked, trying to sound casual, but my voice betrayed me again, soft, musical, impossible to control. "You just carry yourself differently. You look confident. Strange, but good strange." Good strange. Those words lodged themselves in my brain. For the first time, I realized that maybe this wasn't just a dress. Maybe it was a key, unlocking a version of me that had always been there, buried under uncertainty, fear, and self-doubt. At home, I began experimenting secretly. I found old skirts, blouses, scarves, anything that could replicate the feeling of power, elegance, and freedom I had experienced. I twirled in front of the mirror, sometimes laughing softly at myself, sometimes in awe. Makeup became an adventure. Blush highlighted cheekbones I hadn't noticed, mascara brought my eyes alive, lipstick made my smile feel electric. Layer by layer, I discovered a new dimension of myself. Even my voice became a playground. I practiced tones, pitch, and inflection, exploring a melody I had never dared to use. At first, it was clumsy and embarrassing, but gradually, it began to feel natural, intimate, personal. And yet, with each discovery came fear. What if someone saw me like this? What if I lost control? What if I became someone else entirely? But the thrill, the freedom, was undeniable. I had stepped into a world I didn't know existed, and every fiber of my being was awake, alert, alive. That outfit, that single, simple outfit, had changed everything. It had opened a door I never wanted to close. The days after that boutique experience were surreal. Every morning I woke up, the memory of the dress lingered like a warm electric current, and suddenly my usual clothes felt foreign, almost suffocating. My jeans were stiff, my t-shirts shapeless, and the reflection in the mirror didn't match what I felt I should be. I wanted to curl up, hide, retreat from the world, and yet, the curiosity that had taken root in me refused to be ignored. School became a minefield of perception. Every glance, every whisper, every sideways stare became magnified, amplified. It wasn't just that people noticed, it was that I noticed them noticing. Classmates' eyes lingered longer than they ever had before, some trying to mask curiosity with casual smiles, others barely able to contain their surprise. I caught fragments of conversations. Did you see her yesterday? She's different somehow. Is that even him? I tried to keep my head down, to appear normal, but my body betrayed me. My posture, the way I walked, the sway of my hips, it all carried the echo of that boutique dress, of that surge of confidence I had felt. Even my voice, soft and melodic now, drew attention. Are you okay? Lily asked one afternoon, concern written across her face. Her eyes were wide, scanning for answers I didn't have. I'm fine, I muttered, though the tone didn't match the words. My voice betrayed me, lighter, softer, and unfamiliar even to my own ears. The effect on my family was different. Mom noticed immediately. She didn't just see the changes. She celebrated them, fussing over my hair, my skin, the subtle way I carried myself. Every morning she would smooth a strand of hair behind my ear, adjust the way my blouse fit, or comment on how natural I looked. You're blossoming, she said one day, her eyes gleaming with pride. Dad, on the other hand, struggled. He avoided mirrors when I walked by, stumbled over his words, sometimes muttered encouragement that sounded awkward and forced. He didn't know how to process it. My transformation was more than external. It was reshaping the way everyone around me reacted to me, and I could feel the tension whenever he was nearby. At school, I tried to stay under the radar, but that became impossible. Every classroom interaction felt like walking a tightrope. Teachers spoke differently to me, classmates whispered, and even friends treated me with a strange combination of awe and uncertainty. I was learning quickly how public perception could be as overwhelming as private insecurity. But alone, I discovered a different world entirely. My room became a sanctuary for experimentation. I started to explore clothing more deliberately, skirts, blouses, tights, even heels. Each outfit became a lesson, a new layer of identity to inhabit. The sensation of fabric against skin, the way skirts swished as I walked, the way heels altered my posture, all of it was intoxicating. I twirled in front of the mirror, laughter bubbling out uncontrollably, thrilled at the reflection staring back. Makeup became another obsession. At first, it was messy, awkward, clumsy. Mascara smudged, blush was uneven, and lipstick often went too far outside the lines. But every failure was a lesson. Slowly, I learned to enhance my features subtly, blush to highlight my cheekbones, mascara to make my eyes shine, lipstick to bring warmth and life to my smile. Each tiny success gave me a jolt of excitement and pride I had never experienced before. My voice experiments were no less transformative. Alone, I practiced speaking softly, modulating tone and inflection, mimicking the melodic pitch I had glimpsed in the boutique mirror. At first, it sounded unnatural, awkward, forced, but over days, it started to feel familiar, even comforting. I discovered power in vulnerability, a strange thrill in the softness and control of my new tone. The combination of clothing, makeup, posture, and voice began to create a persona, a version of myself I hadn't dared explore. I began leaving small hints of this new self in public, a slightly different walk, a softer laugh, a tilt of my head that drew attention. The reactions were immediate. People noticed. Strangers smiled. Classmates whispered. Boys looked. Girls observed. And in each glance, I felt a surge of both fear and exhilaration. The first time I ventured out in public in a skirt and blouse, my heart pounded like it would burst. I walked to a cafe nearby, legs stiff from nerves, heels clicking against the pavement. Every step felt electric, every glance amplified, every whisper like a drumbeat against my chest. When I entered, a barista complimented my dress, and I felt a jolt of pride, a tiny affirmation that this new version of me was being noticed, being acknowledged. Even so, fear lingered like a shadow. I worried constantly about being discovered, about crossing lines too soon, about losing control. Each mirror in public, each reflection, reminded me of what I had gained, and what I risked losing. Yet, with every small success, every compliment, every careful maneuver, the fear slowly began to transform into confidence. I was learning, gradually, how to inhabit this identity fully. One night, the secret thrill became irresistible. Alone in my room, I slipped into a tight-fitting dress, hair curled, makeup perfect. I practiced walking, talking, moving as this new version of myself. I felt the soft brush of fabric, the thrill of heels on the floor, the sway of my hips, and my reflection smiled back at me with recognition. I wasn't the person I had been before. I was evolving, transforming, discovering a depth of self-expression that terrified and exhilarated me in equal measure. Even small details became significant. The way my nails glimmered under light, the shimmer of lipstick on my lips, the subtle fragrance of perfume that clung to me. Each sensory experience added to the illusion, yet it was no illusion. It was a discovery of my authentic self, buried for years beneath fear, doubt, and convention. I began to test my limits further. Short trips outside, careful interactions, lingering glances in mirrors at stores, small compliments from strangers. Each one reinforced that this identity wasn't just a costume. It was part of me, waiting to be revealed, to be explored, to be embraced. Yet with every success, tension grew. My old friends noticed the differences. Questions arose. Are you trying something new? They would ask, curiosity mixed with caution. I skirted answers, smiled softly, kept my secrets close, and learned the subtle art of performance, the balance between concealment and revelation. And then came the ultimate realization: the outfit that had started it all, the silky, red dress, was no longer just a garment. It was a key, a catalyst, a revelation. It had unlocked a version of me I could no longer ignore, a persona that demanded exploration and acceptance. My curiosity had blossomed into fascination, my fear into courage, my embarrassment into empowerment. By the end of this period, I was no longer hiding completely, yet I was still learning, still experimenting, still teetering between the safety of secrecy and the thrill of discovery. Each day became an adventure, a test of identity, and a journey into the person I was becoming. Someone confident, radiant, and alive in ways I had never imagined. By the time the weekend came, I was no longer just experimenting in secret. I was ready to step further into the world as this new version of myself. The thrill of public attention was no longer terrifying, it was electrifying. I carefully selected an outfit for a small gathering with friends, a sleek midnight blue dress that hugged my curves without being too revealing, paired with modest heels that gave me the slightest sway in my step. Every detail mattered: the curl of my hair, the subtle shimmer of eyeshadow, the soft rose tint on my lips. As I walked out the door, I felt a sense of nervous anticipation unlike anything I had experienced before. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught me mid-step, and I paused for a moment, taking it all in. This wasn't just clothing. This was transformation. Confidence. Identity. I was aware of every curve, every sway, every tilt of my head, and I reveled in it. The party was buzzing with life, laughter spilling across the room, music vibrating through the floorboards. Eyes turned immediately when I entered, some in surprise, others in admiration. For a brief moment, I felt the old self, the insecure, uncertain version of me, curling into the corner, ready to hide. But I shook that feeling away. The version of me I had discovered in the boutique, in my secret experiments, in those small public outings, was ready. Confident. Alive. Unapologetic. Conversations flowed naturally, easier than I could have imagined. Compliments came, genuine and unforced, and with each one, a thrill of validation surged through me. "You look amazing," one girl said, and I smiled, letting the words sink in. It wasn't just about appearance. It was about being seen, truly seen, and accepted. But with every step of confidence, tension crept in. One of my old friends, someone I had known for years, approached. Their eyes widened, scanning me from head to toe, trying to reconcile the familiar with the unfamiliar. "Wow, you're different," they said, uncertain, almost afraid. I felt my pulse spike. This was the moment I had dreaded and anticipated simultaneously. Would they reject me? Laugh? Ask intrusive questions? I took a deep breath. "Yeah," I said softly, letting a smile ease the tension. "I guess I'm exploring something new about myself." Their gaze softened, curiosity giving way to understanding. "It suits you," they admitted. Relief washed over me like sunlight breaking through clouds. In that instant, I realized that embracing this identity fully wasn't just a personal journey. It was a social experiment as well, testing how authenticity would resonate in the world. The following days became a series of revelations. I started taking small but deliberate steps into public life. Walks in the park, coffee shop visits, library trips, all carefully calculated experiments in self-expression. Each encounter taught me more: how strangers reacted, how friends adapted, how I moved through space differently. And each time, the thrill of empowerment surged stronger than the fear of scrutiny. But the true test came unexpectedly. My family, particularly my dad, noticed the changes more directly. One evening, after dinner, he hesitated before speaking. I just want you to know I'm trying to understand this," he said, voice tight with uncertainty. My heart raced. Here was the confrontation I had both feared and desired. I took his hand gently. "I know it's different," I said, keeping my voice calm but soft. "But this is me. I'm not pretending. I'm discovering who I really am, and I need you to see me for that." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then slowly he nodded, a small but genuine smile forming. "Okay," he said quietly. I'll try." That night, I understood something profound. Empowerment wasn't just about clothing or appearance. It was about owning your identity, facing fear, and demanding acceptance. The outfit that had started this journey had been more than fabric. It had been a key to authenticity, courage, and self-expression. Public interactions became easier. At school, I walked with deliberate poise, shoulders back, head high. Whispers and glances still occurred, but I met them with confidence, understanding that perception is as much about self-assurance as it is about external validation. Conversations flowed naturally. Friends approached me not as someone different, but as someone evolving, growing, becoming. Each interaction was a small victory, proof that the identity I was inhabiting was not just accepted, it was respected. One evening, standing in front of my full-length mirror, I reflected on the journey. My reflection was no longer foreign. The soft lines, the confident posture, the carefully styled hair, it all belonged to me now. Not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically. I had faced fear, embarrassment, scrutiny, and self-doubt, and emerged stronger, radiant, and unapologetically myself. The outfit that had changed my life had done far more than alter my appearance. It had opened doors to self-discovery, empowerment, and authenticity. It had shown me that identity is fluid, layered, and deeply personal, and that courage comes not from hiding, but from embracing your truth fully. As I stepped out into the world that night, wearing a simple yet elegant ensemble that felt like armor and freedom combined, I realized I was no longer afraid. Each step was confident, each glance met with grace, each interaction an affirmation of the person I had become. The journey wasn't over, identity is never static, but I had found a core truth, the courage to explore, the joy of transformation, and the power of embracing who I truly am. And in that moment, I smiled at my reflection one last time before leaving home, whispering to myself, this is me. And I am unstoppable.